Despite Olympiacos losing the league by 1 point, they sacked Michel, who was serenaded in the most classiest of ways. He wasn't important at this moment, but with former Ukraine and general boss Andrei Shevchenko joining in the Greek frenzy, we had to prepare a lot by the time we faced them. And I think Aris did a damn good job, in big part to one man.
Champions League. Really?
Peter Radkov. Coming from TSC Bashkov Topola for 1.1 million, his impact was instant, scoring 4 goals in the first 3 encounters in the league. All were wins. With his tall frame, it's no surprise his first was a header, which was assisted by the free transfer of Juan David Mosquera. The Colombian right back was released from Portland Timbers for some reason, but he wasn't the only free transfer. Miguel Aziz arrived too, which would have been shocking until people realized he was following every woman in the area on Insta. He scored his first for the club in a 2-0 victory over Panserraikos. Another new signing contributed to a different victory. Tom Cairney, who arrived from Fulham for 110k.
This is culture clash.
Despite paying the man a crap ton, we said f it, and he scored the winner versus Pasianina. 5 wins already, but the opening 6 fixtures weren't perfect. Versus Volos, they earned the lead with 15 to go. It wasn't looking good, but we had another new striker who started the campaign injured. The Peruvian Percy Liza, who has a similar profile to Radkov. He came in for 400k, and despite having 7 vision, he received the ball late and found a cross landing on Gino Infantino's head. The draw secured our undefeated start, but now came the tough part. The following 5 Greek League fixtures had Olympiacos, PAOK, AEK Athens, Panathinaikos, and Panetolikos. The schedule makers were trolling, but the initial 4 clubs mentioned were all above us in the season preview. Nevertheless, could we build upon our start in our first encounter versus Shevchenko? I knew I forgot to mention the transfer. Kolo Jchak came in on a free, but as you can tell, it wasn't great to start the campaign. Despite being down to 10 men, we were dealing with the Olympic Club of fans of Piraeus quite well, and with an ensuing corner kick in the 76th minute. Corner kick, Dalrida, no way. Radkov! They call this the 10-man boost, and they call this not having nice things. The Olympiacos figured our strategy out, since prior to the equalizer, Szyminski got himself sent off. Despite how the goal went in, you have to take the result. Next up was about to be a big victory over our local rivals PAOK at their house. Instead, in the last seconds, Biersman missed this header, leading to Zivkovic's equalizer. The whole match with AEK? How about missing multiple good chances, including Andre Gray getting his pen stopped, seeing this game somehow end 0-0. The problem was not starting Percy Liza, as against Panetolikos, the man scored a hat-trick in a 6-minute time span. Radkov was important in this too, getting one himself. Unfortunately, he wasn't available versus Panathinaikos. But he wasn't needed.
Shut up, Panathinaikos!
Absolute seeds. With 11 matches undefeated, you'd expect first place. But we weren't. The team ahead of us wasn't any of the big 4, but instead, Asteras Tripolis. The closest this team has gotten to winning a trophy was in 2013, where they lost the Greek Cup final to Olympiacos after extra time. Nowadays, they have a manager who has an issue with us, Akis Mantsios. This guy was sacked by our club 6 months before our appointment, but managed to find success in his new home, getting Asteras to Conference League qualifiers, where they failed to qualify properly. Still, unlike us, they dealt with PAOK and AEK Athens. Plus, their striker was in the form of his life, PlayStation Sony. All known in Turkey last season where he scored 2, currently he has 9, which is more than Radkov. We couldn't have that. So 22 minutes in, Mosquera set up the rat to make it 1-0. Asteras were proving to be difficult, but our boy Radkov would win a penalty in the 60th, seeing former Stoke City wonder Atebo slot in a penalty. He, along with several others, returned for another year, although appeared more frequently than the likes of Gervinho and Lazaros. The latter, who was on a month-to-month contract because he wanted a wage increase at age 36. Well, that's besides the point. The momentum was with us, and just 10 minutes later, Mosquera found Aziz for a third. We were about to go top of the table. Luckily, he didn't get 3, as Aris are not only first, but still undefeated. Still top of the table though. That blip wouldn't faze us, as the next 6 fixtures were perfect. Ratkov and Liza were doing their things, and seeing Lazaro still contributing can bring a tear to any man. Even Andre Gray came up big with a lone goal versus Panserikos. This was all leading to an insane end to the month, but let's mention some January transfers. So the finances aren't great. The board in response cut down our available wages and sold our keeper Juan Soriano despite my dispute. I guess it's fine since he's gotten quite a few injuries. Replacing him will be Joroen Zuid on loan from Nottingham Forest, and youngster Radek Vitek arrived too. With a devastating injury to Mamadou Doucouré, Aris Marcelin was loaned in to have numbers at the back. If you're wondering about the summer exits, they weren't too significant. 19 match days through, and Aris were on top by 4 points. The team behind was of course Shevchenko's Olympiacos, and we played them 3 times over the next week. A league match sandwiched in between 2 legs of the Greek Cup. We did very well to edge PAOK in the previous round, but this was a whole nother ordeal. We were at home first, and Ratkov was threatening early, although not long later, it would be his partner Liza smacking one in for the lead. Moving into the second half, a water touch led to a counterattack. Soon, a ball was sent to Liza in behind, and the score doubled. Olympiacos were getting shut down, and we continued to go with the flow.
I move like water, I go with the flow.
A corner kick from Darida found Morgala at the back post, securing an outstanding 3-goal advantage. Before confirming our spot into the semis, we had to travel to Piraeus for the league encounter. With a 4-point lead, anything but a loss would be fantastic. Just like in the cup, it all looked good early, with Liza once again opening the affair. Unfortunately, they still have quality in James Rodriguez, and he threaded an insane pass for Kiko Bondoso's equalizer. Decent chances followed for both sides, but Olympiacos was looking a little bit stronger. Unfortunately, the last 15 minutes were grim as Maziku got stuck in 2 thoughts, allowing Rodney to find Conrad de la Fuente to go ahead. Rakov equalized, but he was so offside. The same can be said for Camero. I ain't taking a picture of that. With players thrown forward, Olympiacos countered in the final moments, and James Rodriguez held us through the chest. Okay, it's not that dramatic, but the result brings them within 1 point. Still, we were up by 3 going into the second leg of the Greek Cup. However, they were feeling confident, specifically Mady Camara, who was found wide open for a header in the 15th minute. We didn't learn from our mistakes, as he received the ball again moments later. 3-2 on aggregate, just like that. Thankfully, Aziz widened the gap prior to the half, but there were cracks, and like Rudy Garcia, frauds will be exposed. It happened quickly, as Pepiel got one back in the 60th. Shortly after, oh my gosh! Pape Cisse makes a 4-1? I subbed off every defender except for Morgala, who was playing the worst, and Aziz was about to collapse before extra time. In that phase, this play nearly made me chuck my PC out the window. But penalties, it is. What a collapse. But the caveat is that it can still be saved. The keepers playing didn't realize they could do that. Penalty after penalty banged in, and it went to extra shots. Round 6, both scored. Aziz in round 7, went top net. Szyminski for Olympiacos, banger pen. Manu Garcia tucked his perfectly in the bottom corner. Endoy tried to do the same, but was slightly off, meaning we advanced. The good news from all of this was that we ended up making the final after defeating Panathinaikos quite handily in the second leg. The bad news? We were crap in February, while Olympiacos were not. Now I preface this by saying the goal is to qualify for Europe, but seeing yourself drop from first hurts. Asteras and Atromitos were both defeated in the last 2 match days, but Olympiacos kept on winning, meaning after the league split, the point gap will be at 5. Who'd be our opponent to begin the next stage? Who the hell do you think?
Of course.
Make sure to check the Gervinho video to see me explain the Greek structure, but basically, we have 10 more games with the remaining top 6. Olympiacos hadn't lost in the league since early December, but we're in the middle of a Conference League campaign. The advantage of rest was on our side. 2 chances were squandered, but prior to the 12-minute mark, Manu Garcia was found in space, and he cut it back to Liza, whose deflected shot blasted past Pereira. The match didn't have much going on, unlike the previous encounters. Who cares though, as Aris gave Olympiacos their first league loss in over 3 months. The gap shrunk to 2. Meanwhile, they would advance to the next round of the Conference League. The extra fixtures were adding up, as prior to our match versus PAOK, AEK Athens waltzed on them in the last 15, blasting in 4, and keeping them out. In our Thessaloniki derby, we decided to start sooner. Yes! Oh, Ratkov. Here we go, Manu. Penal. Clearest pen I've seen in my life. Rakov. In behind to Rakov to Lisa. Lisa makes a 4. Oh my gosh. Infantino in behind to Rakov.
I am a rat.
Back on top. But we didn't have the best moments following that. With the 1-0 lead over Panathinaikos, it was starting to get late, where Chokai did that. 2 points dropped, and it didn't start great versus Asteras. PlayStation Sony opened accounts in the 11th minute, but 2 important subs turned the game on its head. Immediately, Tom Cairney found Andre Gray in behind, and he volleyed it first time. Gray returned the favor moments later with a pass to Cairney, whose shot squeezed in. That's how you win a title. All right, we are. No. Are you kidding? But what do I know about that? Thankfully, Olympiacos lost again and advanced to the Conference League semis. They didn't get to the final. Ike Athens were not a threat for a while, but depending on this next fixture with them, that could change. No need to worry yet though, as Manu Garcia broke free and scored. He's a name that deserves more mention as he's been pretty good. Nevertheless, we were in a solid position until Bradley Maziku did the dumbest thing I've seen anyone do off a throw-in. Who does this? Now we're down to 10 with 60 to go. Mistakes continued off throw-ins, with one taken 10 minutes after the half. Djordjevic receives and instantly crosses to the shortest man on the pitch, and he nods in a header to tie it back up.
Encara Messi, 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 gol.
Can't really say anything about that. Halfway through the final phase, and with Olympiacos defeating Asteras, the table looked like this. It's too damn close with us up on goal difference. So let's dance with Olympiacos once again. Cairney. Let's go, Cairney. Oh, Rakov. Oh, Lisa now. Yes! Lisa makes it 2-0. Rakov. What a monumental half of football, sending us 3 points clear. Okay, we shouldn't let the Greek Cup collapse in our minds yet. Okay, guys, stay calm. Oh crap, oh, what is going on? They have 4 guys at the back post here. Normally, you would mark those guys. Why are we not marking them? A disastrous bottle, but we didn't lose, keeping our place on top. However, the confidence seems to have dropped, and you don't want that to happen prior to the derby. Simple mistakes kept occurring, as Murgal was too lazy to get back in line. He made up for it though, by equalizing off a far post corner. Yet the defensive mistakes repeated, with Nare allowed all the room to send his pass across to Zivkovic. In the second half, a lot of time went, and we showed zero threat until this free kick in the final 10. Not long later, a corner kick was won, and like earlier in the match, Morgala equalized. With little time left, a free kick was won on the side of the box, and with the added minutes near, Manu Garcia stepped up. With 2 assists already, he found his target, Morgala. I felt more relief than excitement with how silly the last few fixtures went. We were lucky with this, and stayed in first. That was nearly ruined with a 0-0 draw to Panathinaikos right after. Thankfully, Olympiacos did the same with PAOK. Both of us won on the penultimate match day, leading to us playing against Ike Athens. Olympiacos faced the now whipping boys of the group, Asteras. With rumors of a 1978 Chroo situation occurring to Asteras' bus, I had to make a phone call with Ike. I was afraid of Olympiacos winning it on goal difference, and those fears became a reality when they scored in the 3rd minute. However, I had to trust in my team, no matter what their score would be. In the 18th minute, Rakov found Percy Liza for the opener. 7 minutes later, the Rat would make it 2. Liza then would go on to score in the 28th and 48th minute, but we weren't done there. Oh no. Rakov made it 5. Ike scored 1, just to make it look less sketchy. But the big win was vital. That's because Olympiacos won 6-0. But when the final whistle went, we were the ones celebrating and lifting the title that I thought wouldn't be possible for years. Gervinho, Andre Gray, Atebo, all champions. Not Lazaros. He left 1 month before the season ended for some reason. Aris' first league title since 1946. It wasn't supposed to happen, but with fantastic transfers and other guys stepping up when it mattered the most, history was made. Oh, the Greek Cup final? Well, let's just say we partied a little too hard and weren't up for it against Ike Athens.